Then the boys on their way. The first one off the line is John. Tony Edmondson. And we go back to Alan Grice. Rocco Zermanik has pulled to the edge of the track and he's boiling very, very badly inside car number 63. But meanwhile, the race leader, car number 1, the reigning national champion, and he's out in front, followed by car number 11, which is Alan Grice. And we go back to Gordon Mitchell, Dick Ward, Russell West and Mike Buns. Back to Craig Marsden. Meanwhile, the race leader showing clean set of heels at the moment as he goes past the QAS Tower Hill for the first time, and he's got 20 laps in front of him. Right at his heels there is Alan Grice, and Alan Grice will be looking for big things from the turboed BMW on this initial first 2 or 3 laps, just to keep Tony Edmondson very, very honest. But meanwhile, the little Chev Alpha's gone and disappeared into the Cobbs corner, and they start their run over the top of the Motorcraft Hill, and these cars lap it consistently under the minute here, and there's the big roaring Chev of Tony Edmondson's Alpha right out in front there, and he blasts through Kodak corner for the first time. Alan Grice right behind him. In second place is Alan Grice in the BMW as he backs off as a big gush of flame comes out the exhaust system. Back then to Gordon Mitchell in car number 57, Dick Ward in car number 27. Then we go back to Mike Barnes, Russell West and Craig Marsden. Well, there's a long way to go yet, and this is anyone's race. The race leader well and truly showing his superiority at the moment with the big brute power of the engine underneath car number 1. The reigning national champion at the moment, well and truly out in front of him, doing it very, very well. And Alan Grice will sit back now and try to keep him very, very honest. And at any stage of the race, if Tony Edmondson slightly makes a miscue, and I can tell you what, Alan Grice will be through like there's no tomorrow. Meanwhile, the race leader over the top of the Motorcraft Hill blitzes past the Gerlach 6BR sign, sets himself up for Kodak corner as he drifts nicely through. Beautifully controlled power. Alan Grice, similar sort of a line. As he sets off along the quarter-mile straight, he takes a different run into Uni Park corner, more mid-track as the Alpha of Edmondson's very wide on the entry and very tight on the X's. He sets the car up for the S's and absolutely lights them up as he blitzes through the S's there, past the BP signs. And we have a coming together of a couple of cars there. It was Craig Marsden and Russell West. Chev Camaro versus the Valiant Charger. Those touch fenders as they went through that corner there, and there's a bit of bad luck to see John Briggs out of his events, I've already said, because he's come a long way across Australia to be sidelined by mechanical problems. Meanwhile, Dick Ward's well and truly throwing the challenge out to Gordon Mitchell. He's moved right up behind Gordon Mitchell there, and I'll tell you what, this will keep him very, very honest. There's no doubt about this. Gordon Mitchell will be about to be challenged by Dick Ward for 3rd place. Meanwhile, the race leader, Tony Edmondson, often going strong. Car number 11, Alan Grice in 2nd position, and he doesn't seem to be gaining any or losing any on Edmondson. Edmondson got the initial leap away of about 40 metres and seems to be holding that distance, and Alan Grice can't seem to match him at this stage of the event. Meanwhile, we go back to the first of the West Australians, Gordon Stevenson, in the Frank Shelley Alfa Romeo, car number 57, then back to car number 27, the Road Emotion Go Gear little Fiat Abarth of Dick Ward. We've got a bit of a gap back to Mike Barnes, Russell West, Craig Marsden, Graham Hooling running in a very production type Tirana Holden Commodore, car number 71, being challenged there by Gordon Stevenson. Under 2-litre car versus the big V8, and we have the Channel 9 chopper moving in to have a little bit of a look, I think. Yes, we have the Channel 9 chopper coming over the top of the race circuit, and no doubt everyone will be very anxious there as they bunch up into Uni Park corner. Tony Edmondson wouldn't be very impressed at all as Ross Bennett blocks him, and now the Alpha gets through there. It was a bit of a traffic jam. Meanwhile, Grice moves up. He seizes the opportunity, and this is where the trouble will lie. Edmondson getting through the slow traffic, and Grice is just following the leader at the moment as Alan Grice, meanwhile, closes up very close behind Tony Edmondson over the QAS Tower Hill and down the old pit straight. Into Kolb corner goes the race leader, and I tell you what, Alan Grice will be very anxious to see this. Edmondson's Alpha was balked badly in traffic there, and we'll have to wait now to see the result of the outcome of this one. Over the top of the Motorcraft till the race leaders will come. And we should have, there it is, Alan Grice throwing the challenge out there to Tony Edmondson. Grice moves up under brakes. Tongs, and that's what Alan Grice needed, was a bit of traffic to stop the flying Tony Edmondson, and Edmondson meanwhile along the quarter-mile straight. As they go through the cement dust, then Grice moves right up behind the hard-charging Alpha driver of Tony Edmondson. Well, Edmondson and Grice, well and truly, like Cameron Tongs, has gone. Brian Rhodes has gone round and meanwhile rejoins the race and loses a couple of positions. But the race leaders, Hammer and Tongs at the moment, as they go over the top of the QAS Tower Hill. Alan Grice has got no worries at all. He can match the Alpha, and he realises that now as he sets off in pursuit of Tony Edmondson, the race leader and the current reigning national champion for Sport Sedans. And meanwhile, the big chopper's about to set down at Wanneroo Park, and they'll be looking for Johnny Briggs, and they'll be very sad to see that he's not a starter in this event, and the Channel 9 car is on pit road. Meanwhile, the race leader, car number 1, Tony Edmondson. And we go back to car number 11, and he's very, very close now is Alan Grice, and he's well and truly throwing the challenge out. For a moment there, it looked like Alan Grice was going to have a challenge and a half to Tony Edmondson, but he certainly, Edmondson certainly withstood the challenge and seems to have the cubic horsepower down the main straights to hold the little BMW. But this is where the BMW is strong when it comes to getting through the traffic, as Tony Edmondson sees in his front windscreen that he's got a bit of traffic in front of him, and this will definitely sort him out as he gets through this bit of a traffic jam in front of him. Alan Grice will be very, very keen to see if he can match Tony Edmondson in the traffic for sure, as we'll have to wait on the outcomers, but they disappeared. They were moving up on about 4 or 5 cars. Be very interesting to see if Tony Edmondson can get through, and so Alan Grice. There they are now. Edmondson got through the faster of the two. Grice now up in second position, and meanwhile passes Craig Marsden going into Kodak corner. Blast along the quarter mile straight.
Still Tony Edmondson coming behind Mike Barnes. The flames shooting out of Grice's car as they hit through Unibad corner, up through the S's. On another lap now, go on the inside of Mike Barnes. Well, our drivers now lap down most of the cars as Rocco Zemanek goes back into the pits proper this time. One car off there in car 45, that's John Glasson at BP corner. But our race leaders out of sight over the far side of the circuit down at Kolb's corner. In second place, car number 57, Gordon Mitchell in the Cicelli Motors Alpha. Right behind him, car 27 in Dick Ward.
Right, here comes the race leader over the top of the hill, and I tell you what, Rob, he's got the extended seat back again, that about that 40 or 50 metre lead that he had in the earlier part of the race, as he moves up behind the local champ here, Dick Ward, car number 27. Follow that there, you're about to go past Gordon Mitchell in car number 57, and they both drivers moved to one side of the circuit and let the hard-charging Tony Edmondson through. Alan Grice now got 2 cars between him and Edmondson, as he'll get through on board as they go through the S's. Dick Ward moves over, lets him through. Alan Grice now moves up behind Gordon Mitchell, and Gordon Mitchell moves over and lets him go through also. Dick Ward also seizes the opportunity and goes through it. So as Dick Ward followed Alan Grice through, and as Gordon Mitchell moved over, he went through and grabbed into 3rd position. So Gordon Mitchell relegated back to 4th. Well, there's action aplenty at the moment, if not out in front. It's well and truly back in the minor sections of the race where Dick Ward pulled a real cheeky trick there on Gordon Mitchell and stuck through into 3rd place. And there's the Alpha of Tony Edmondson. This is an event brought to you, of course, by the Alpha dealers of West Australia, and look at the Alpha well and truly out in front. Car number 11, Alan Grice, keeping him very, very honest. Dick Ward, meanwhile, put back to 4th place as Gordon Mitchell exerted the power of the big turbo Alfa Romeo. So Alpha laying 1st and 3rd at the moment, holding the banner high for Alfa Romeo. Then we go back to Dick Ward in car number 27 in 4th. And then I think we'll have to come back to Mike Barnes, who's running in about 5th. Then back to Craig Marsden, Russell West, Gordon Stevenson also in an Alpha. Then we go back to Graham Hooley, Greg Cole. There's a bit of a gap then back to car number 30. As this time passes, the race leaders are at the halfway mark. Tony Edmondson halfway through this 20-lap event. So he moves underneath Brian Rhodes, keeps the car very neat and tight, acknowledges Rhodes moving over. Alan Grice in second position, running very hard and fast. Look at that turbo lag as he backs off and a big gush of flame roars out of the exhaust pipe. This car is now starting to show the true potential that it has got. As he moves up behind Brian Rhodes, passes Rhodes and gets up through BP corner and sets off after the race leader. But you can't fault Tony Edmondson. Drove absolutely faultlessly so far. And it's a credit to see such a top driver driving so very, very well. Yes, you cannot fault the drive that Tony Edmondson's put in at the moment. And it's a shame that we couldn't have had John Briggs out there running the colours for Channel 9. Absolutely keeping these two boys very honest, which we all know he's very capable of. There we have the Alpha of Edmondson. Once again comes out onto the start-finish run. So he goes through once again to put another lap down. And he's on lap number 12 at the moment, race leader. We got a bit of a gap back to Alan Grice. And then we go back to the first of the West Australians, Gordon Mitchell, car number 57. Back to Dick Ward. Then behind Dick Ward we have a bit of a gap back to Mike Barnes. Mike driving car number 36, then a bit of a gap back to Craig Marsland. Russell West, and then Gordon Stevenson, Graham Hooley. Meanwhile, the race leader, lapping Greg Cole once again in a Kodak corner. Sets off along the quarter mile straight here. This has been a very successful track for Tony Edmondson. Has had a very good run in this in the years gone by. Has always run very hard and very strong here at Wanneroo Park. Even going back to the days when he brought the Charger across and run very, very competitively in that car, and also showing his success in car number 1 now, the reigning Australian National Sports Sedan champion. Out in front, Alan Grice can't seem to match him at the moment. So we go around then to Craig Marsden now on the outside of car number 84 and 32 by Van Sandy and Warren Matthews. By gee, the longer the race is going, the harder Tony Edmonds is going. He's just gone through in a 59.41. So you can't complain about that sort of a time. And the race should be, at the moment, he should realise his ascendancy and start taking it easy, but no way. Tony Edmondson hard charging. As well as truly pushing the little Alpha to the limits at the moment as he drifts sideways up through BP corner. Sets it up for QAS Tower Hill and disappears out of sight, and he just clocked a time of a 59.41, and that's not sticking around. That's well and truly in contention of a lap record.
Joe Ricciardo not having a very good day at all in the Mr. Auto Alpha, another turboed Alpha, heading into the pits once again, his second trip back into the pits.
Right, we wait now on Mike Barnes to come through. He's the first of the 6 cylinders cars. Then we got back to Craig Marsden. And meanwhile, Alan Grice doesn't seem to be as close as he was last lap. Here he comes over the top of the Motorcraft hill. Alan Grice didn't appear over the hill just so quite as quick as Tony Edmondson, and there's about 8.1 seconds apart between Edmondson and Grice, so Edmondson must realise that now he's put all that traffic between him and Alan Grice, and Alan Grice is going to fight his way back through.
Actually, I don't think Alan Grice will try to close that gap, but pretty impossible anyway with the amount of traffic on the circuit. He realised he's got second place shot to pieces, and he told me when we were interviewing him that there's 2 heats in this race and the second heat counts. So he's in there with a chance. Dick Ward losing a bit of ground now to Gordon Mitchell and sitting in fourth place. Back in 5th place we have car number 36, that's Mike Barnes. Mike Barnes just coming out of Kodak Corner and about to be lapped once again by the very quick Tony Edmondson in the old one. Car number 1, the current Australian Sports Sedan champion.
Yes, well, Tony Edmondson now got 5 laps left to go, Rob. And so also is Alan Grice. He goes through Kodak Corner now, across the start-finish line, and he's got 5 laps also to go. And as you said, Rob, this is a 2-heater then, so this is anyone's race at the moment. Tony Edmondson out in front now, and Alan Grice will be quite happy at the moment to sit back and play for second position. Wouldn't want to challenge Tony Edmondson at the moment with only 5 laps left to go.
A great dice going on between Gordon Stevenson and Russell West in the Camaro. The big 350 Camaro against the 2-litre Alfetta. And Gordon Stevenson getting on top as they go out of VP corner. Car number 30, Warwick Ray, doing very well in the Escort in his first run. Dick Ward coming through to put another lap down in 4th place.
Yes, well, Tony Edmondson time then was a 59.93, so he's certainly not sticking around. He's lapping consistently under the minute, which is very, very quick for a car of this category. Oh, there's Alan Grice. The car went past there, Rob, sounding a bit fluffy. It sounds like it's run into a bit of a miss.
Very hard to hear when Russell West goes by with that thundering V8 Camaro. Oh, smoke pouring out of Barnes's car under the left-hand front wheel. Car number 36. A lot of smoke. And following up behind there is Alan Grice, and both cars are turbo-powered. I wonder if that is an ominous sign.
For turbos.
For turbos. Alan Grice sitting in second place, but look at the race leader as he comes out of Kodak Corner once again, doing it very smoothly indeed as he plants the foot in the big V8 now at Alpha. And thunders his way down Repco back into Uni Park Corner. Coming up on the traffic though. But he shouldn't worry too much. He's got a great lap out in the lead at this stage. Alan Grice a long way behind, a good half mile now as he comes into Kodak Corner. Alan Grice in car number 11. The John Player Special looking very attractive indeed. And I think Alan realises he's got second, but he can't get first, so he's going to hold back and save it up for the second heat, event number 13. Russell West coming up behind Graham Hooley. Having an almighty great press goes to the inside run as they go down the Repco quarter mile straight, but Hooley holding him up. And Mike Barnes looks like he's right out of the race at this stage. Haven't seen him reappear. So with Mike Barnes out, that moves Craig Marsland up another spot. Then it's back to car number 71, then 15. 5, then 15. The entire field twice in this 20 laps. Well, not 20 laps yet. Alan Grice going through, taking it very easy indeed. Just cruising past. Brian Rhodes, a fair way down in car number 94, the Rhodes Motors turbocharged Tirana. As the fire ute moving up the top of the circuit, looks like it could be heading to Mike Barnes's car.
Yes, well, it made a fiery exit, didn't it, Rob?
Very fiery exit, and very disappointing because he was sitting in a very good 5th position. Gordon Stevenson doing very well, moving up into 5th spot there and closing the gap on Craig Marsland as they go up.
Last lap board, Rob, coming out now. Leo DeAndre is about to hold it out to the reigning national champion. Tony Edmondson takes the last lap board. He was very, very happy to see that as he sets off on his last lap through Uni Park Corner. And this is, as I've said on many occasions, when a driver like this gets in full fight, it is poetry in motion. On the last lap at the moment, up through the S's, he lights the S's up in the little Alpha. Sets himself up for BP Corner and he's driving a creditable race. You can't explain how well he's driven, and the Chev's going as hard now, the little Alpha is going as hard now as the winner started the race and is revving right out. As we've got flags slowing the drivers down on top of the hill. Must be where Mike Barnes had a slight smoky exit up there. But meanwhile, the race leader's on his last lap. So we wait now. Here he comes. The race leader. Tony Edmondson goes through to receive the checker flag.
A brilliant drive by Tony Edmondson. Put your hands together. He did it well all the way. We're waiting on Alan Grice now.
Oh, here he comes. I thought Alan Grice had gone missing for a while there, Rob. That's why I was quiet. I didn't think there was that much distance between them. I went quiet because I thought Alan Grice had gone missing, but here he comes across the start-finish line to take second position. And as Rob has already said, Alan Grice is playing for a two-heat advantage on Tony Edmondson, and if he can't repeat the dosage in this event, he'll definitely try to get it in the final event. We look back then, the third place was Gordon Mitchell, fourth place was Dick Ward, and I think Craig Marsden got up there and come in fifth place.
Checking the revs for the last time, oil pressure, water temperature, all cars look set. And they go, and Tony Edmondson powers away the line from... Oh, and Peter Finch very desperate up the middle. Oh, very desperate by Finch as he goes down the middle of Dick Ward and Gordon Mitchell. He's trying the outside of Gracie there. Peter Finch out to show that how things really happen on a racing circuit. But the race leader missed a gear and dropped back a little bit as Tony Edmondson back to Alan Grice. Then Peter Finch, Dick Ward, Gordon Mitchell, who would be really hopping mad at the moment. Back to Russell West, Mike Barnes, Greg Cole, Gordon Stevenson, Craig Marsland. Graham Hooley's in there also, along with Brian Rhodes and Joe Ricardo as the field go out of sight around the QAS town. What a magnificent start. Finchy barging through there to try and get to the leaders in car number 16.
I wonder if Tony Matter had anything to do with that. The name written on the side of the car and the way coming through there like there was no tomorrow.
Well, the race leader over the top of the hill, and he's a mile in front at the moment. Look at that. As Peter Finch goes into second place. Oh, Peter Finch from South Australia in the 350 Chevy Wanneroo. As Alan Grice dropped back to third. Tony Edmondson in first place. Storms away down the Repco quarter-mile straight. And Gracie fights back on the inside and throws out a bit of flame to boot as he goes under brakes into Uni Park corner. Finchy absolutely desperate. Back in fourth place there. Dick Ward going very well indeed from Gordon Mitchell. Then back to Russell West and Mike Barnes, but the race leader's up out of BP corner as Gracie goes into BP. Followed by Peter Finch, but look at Dick Ward. He's still got the leaders inside and doing very well. Gordon Mitchell well back in the Seychelles Autos Alpha, and the helicopter about to take off. As they're helicopter about to take off. As they're missing all the action, leaving